Hi, I'm David Chavarria, and I'm an upcoming editor, and I'm here with Jennifer today. So Jennifer, first I would like to talk to you about, in your career, what are the changes in post-production that you have seen?
Well, my career started probably when 1-inch was still around. My father's career started with 2-inch, where there was no fancy editing systems, where it was a flare pen and you were moving tapes in videotape, because I'm from the television realm primarily. And you know, we've come so far from that to analog with these beautiful CMX editors and film chains that can transfer pixel, well not pixel, but perforation by perforation, you know, which was an amazing technological advance then. Color correction systems are far and away beyond what we ever could have imagined 20 years ago or even 30 years ago when I was a little kid. So we've watched really in the last 10 years or 15 years, technology has just, well, you know, it's like a gazelle. We keep jumping and jumping and jumping. And the more data we're able to crunch and the faster we're able to crunch it, the more exciting changes we're able to make. You know, years ago, 4K was a dream. It was a dream.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about being able to buy a 4K TV in Best Buy. 3D was something, you know, you went and you put glasses on at the movies. Now we can have 3D TVs in our homes, and I know in the Far East there's lots of 3D televisions. It's caused in the post-production realm two things. One is we don't edit for as many weeks necessarily because we can look at creative changes faster. So those schedules have become compressed. Where it used to be you needed a certain number of weeks, now we can really crunch that to the point where it can become very uncomfortable at times. But technologically, in terms of visual effects, we're able to produce temp effects really, really quickly, depending on the size of our rendering farms. And mixing has become far more complex within a smaller studio. So where we used to have these, you know, giant studios with mixing boards the size of somebody's apartment, now on a very small board, you can have that same number of tracks active and actively being mixed, you know, because you're working in menus and layers now. I think the tough part of it is for especially those people in the technical side, like an editor like yourself, you guys, it must feel like you're learning a new program every week or every month.
It is. It definitely in the job market, it becomes really hard, you know, to the point where you can't keep up, you know. You learn a program, but then they moved on to another one.
Another version, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like around every corner, you know, something new comes out and you have to learn it. So your learning curve has to be really, really quick. Do you think eventually most of the post-production work is going to be like a one-man band?
Well, I think it's really interesting to be looking at that because part of, I think what makes production, post-production, and successful projects is you don't have the director lighting the set. And you don't have your AD manning the mixing board, you know, on set. So there is a certain advantage to people having specialties because that's what they specialize in. So they know that program or that group of programs so well that they're able to work on that part of the project while you as an editor might be working on story. And I'm not sure how I feel at this point about my story person also being in charge of the green screens. You know, is it fair for that person to also be doing all the compositing and all the rotoscoping? And is that really their job as an editor? Or is that really the job of the visual effects department? And you pretty much can't do anything anymore without a visual effects department in many ways. So I think it's got to be hard for you. And I know me as a person, I like to sit on the beach and read white papers. I know that sounds really boring, but you know, when 4K came along, I've gone from film to 1-inch to 3/4 inch. I've seen it all. Like I've seen it all. And in restoration, I still need to know my film technology and my film transfer technology, even though just last week I was, you know, budgeting something for 4K. So I'm holding on to all of it, and in a way you are too. And I think it's a challenge to stay on top of it, but I think it's important for longevity of career to be able to adapt to the technology again and again and again. I watched my father do it through his career, and I've done it through mine. But it is challenging. I think when you read that advertisement for a job and it says, wanted, editor, who knows, Adobe Photoshop, and this and that, and on and on and on. And by the way, can you also do a production budget? You know, it's really sort of challenging.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Jennifer, and we'll continue this conversation. Thank you.